Finally, after about 23 years of waiting and yearning for a sequel to one of the best animated films in the early 2000s, both Aardman and Netflix both granted us our wish, and the movie is finally here. But will it be as good as the first one? Well, let's find out, shall we? Yo, what is up, my Cinedroids? G to the S here. Today, finally, I'm here to review the long-awaited sequel to the original classic that came out all the way back in June 23rd of 2000. The movie I've been waiting for ever since childhood, debuting only on Netflix. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this! Having pulled off a death-defying escape from Tweedy's farm since the first film, Ginger, played this time by Thandie Newton from both Run Fat Boy Run and Mission Impossible 2. Not Julia Sawalha this time, I'll get to that momentarily. But she has finally found her dream. A peaceful island sanctuary for the whole flock, far from the dangers of the human world. When she and Rocky, played this time by Eugene Fitzherbert from Tangled, Zachary Levi, hatch a little girl named Molly, played by Ellie from the HBO Max original video game adaptation The Last of Us, Bella Ramsey, Ginger's happy ending seems complete. But back on the mainland, the whole of chickenkind faces a new and terrible threat. For Ginger and her team, even if it means putting their hard-won freedom at risk, this time, they are breaking in. Now, first off, let me get the animation out of the way first. The unique mix of both classic claymation and just mere hints of CGI in it. Like, for example, when we get to the chicken nugget factory, we see the exploding duck pond. And the CG animation with the water, combined with the stop-motion animation of the robotic exploding ducks themselves, meshed together perfectly. Not once did I see an animation mistake. Even when we get to see the inside of where the chickens are being held captive in. We cut to an overhead view and the whole place is swarming with tons of chicken characters roaming around the huge room. And even if it's done with CGI, they made it look like they actually went ahead and hand animated the characters that are held within that jail cell. That's how amazing the animation is. Even the camera work and the cinematography looks great. In fact, being that this is a sequel to a cinematic classic, the cinematography looks just as good as the first one did. Keep this in mind, I was about 3.5 when the first one came out. And the fact that it took about 23 years for me to patiently wait for the sequel to be made is something special for me. Sure, some of you may not agree with me, but I did declare that since I made my Hollywood update video about the news of a Chicken Run sequel back in, if my calculations are correct, October 23rd, 2018, that as a kid, and I mean a 3.5-year-old youngin', as the British say, I was yearning for a sequel to happen. Now flash forward 23 years today, soon to be 24 years old by the time June 24th, 2024 comes around. The movie is here, it has arrived, and I gotta say, the cinematography reminds me of why I love the first film so much. Now, I thought the story and plotline in this film was not as groundbreaking and as well executed as the first one did, but it's an enjoyable one at that. You can tell that the animators put in a lot of thought and effort into this. Sure, some of you may think it's the same movie over again, but if you really think about it, the story to this film is slightly different than the first film. Because once the movie begins, Ginger herself did say that we have our happy ending. Because if you remember from the first film, they escaped Tweedy's farm, destroyed her pie machine, and now they are living in this chicken paradise where they can live peacefully and harvest their own crops. They got homes, they got gardens, and they can pretty much do whatever they want without any dangers of the humans disrupting that peace. But of course, the humans are like, nah, screw that. We have our own evil plan up our sleeve. And now it's up to Ginger and our fine feathered friends to put a stop to the whole chicken nugget operation. And also an old enemy, which I won't spoil who it is if you haven't seen the trailers to this. But still, given the fact that I've seen this movie about 4 times now, as a fan of the OG film that came out back in the day, I cannot say that I'm mad at this movie. In fact, I can't help but feel the sense of nostalgia within this film. Sure, it's not the type of feeling you purists out there want to feel, but for me, personally, I'm all about the nostalgia, and this film gave it to me in flying colors. So on that note, great job to both Aardman and Netflix for entertaining me. Keep up the great work. Now when it comes to the film's character development, again, going back to what I just said about the chickens living their peaceful lives, it's also one of those movies where both the parent and the child have to learn their lesson towards each other. Ginger has to learn that sometimes, even if it means risking your lives, you can't be fenced in all the time. And not forcing your child to venture out into the human world can lead to your child making him or her, depending on the gender, feel like he or she is trapped and you have nowhere to go. But it's also a lesson to both Ginger and Rocky's daughter, Molly, as well. She starts out as a rebellious teenager who wants nothing more than to venture out and see beyond their island sanctuary. But as soon as she gets captured by an unknown threat, now it's up to Ginger, Rocky, and their friends to bust her out and head back home. And she learns firsthand that she was more in the wrong than Ginger was. Now, it may sound that Aardman is taking notes from Finding Nemo a little bit, and it kind of does, just a teensy bit, but still, it's not enough to make me hate it. When it comes to the movie's use of dramatic and emotional scenes, and this may sound as a mild spoiler, but there's a scene where Ginger, Rocky, and the others are trapped in a popcorn silo. And while they're coming up with a plan to climb out of the silo, there's a heartfelt moment in the movie where Molly just sits there in the corner in the popcorn seats, sobbing at the fact that she messed up. And both Rocky and Ginger sit beside her to comfort her. And at the part where they all apologize to each other, I was touched by that. Because at the end of the day, they all learned their lesson. We all make mistakes, and that's okay. It doesn't make us any different than what we are. So I love that this movie touched on that moral message. But thankfully, it was not one of those moral messages that was shoved down our throats throughout the whole film. Yes, Playmobil movie, I'm looking right at you. In terms of execution, the moral message was used in a more clever way than what you expected. So again, props to not only Aardman and Netflix for that, but also to the writers and the director of this film, who also directed both Flushed Away and Paranorman as well, Sam Fell, for developing both the characters and the story for this film. Now when it comes to the film's use of action sequences, there wasn't as much action as the first film had, and also wasn't as bombastic and epic as the first film was either. But when the action does kick into high gear, it's entertaining to watch. Now if you guys want me to end this review on a negative note, sure, I do have a few minor negatives towards this film. Some of the new voices for the characters are a bit different, and I do agree with you that Ginger's voice was a little different than the first film, but I still think that Thandie Newton did a fantastic job capturing what Julia Sawalha portrayed in the first film. But Rocky's new voice, on the other hand, you gotta understand one thing about Mel Gibson. He went through some troubling allegations, which I won't discuss even further because this is a family show. But still, in my opinion, Zachary Levi also did a great job capturing what Mel Gibson portrayed in the first film as well. So for me, I have no problems with Ginger and Rocky's new voice. Also, I heard that the jokes in this movie were a little too kiddish, and yeah, they are a little corny. No pun intended. But at the same time, as an Aardman fan, I do have a soft spot for the jokes in this movie. I mean, think about it this way. At least there were no references to internet memes, internet slangs, or cringy hashtag jokes throughout the whole film, so that's a relief. But still, I get the jokes are not for everybody, and I totally get it, 100%. But again, as a fan of the first movie, I can't be too mad at the jokes in this film. It fits within the world this is set in. But for me, the one element that was missing from the first film was the musical score. Sure, it's awesome that Harry Gregson Williams is back at the helm to compose this movie, but I just thought that the musical score in the first film had that bombastic and epic feel to it that gets me in the mood whenever I listen to it. Here, sure, there are hints of the main theme from the first film, but I just thought there wasn't enough of the bombastic factor than the first film had. But hey, that's just me. But still, other than those few minor complaints, ladies and gentlemen, in the end, I thought Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget was worth the 23-year wait. The animation was gorgeous, the characters were well developed, the story was enjoyable, and the camera work in this film was eye-popping. In short, I can't help it. I enjoyed this film. So as a result, I rate Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget a 4.5 stars out of 5. Sure, again, most of you may not agree with me and you may click away from this video if you want, but that won't ever change my opinion about this film. I'm a fan, I'm allowed to enjoy this movie. All you have to do is just respect my opinion and we'll get along fine. But if you're gonna be that type of troll, you have my permission to screw off and express your hate somewhere else. No one wants you here. So Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget, streaming only on Netflix. Have you seen it? If you have, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Do you agree with me? Do you hate my guts now? Answers down below, please. But if you guys like this video and you want to see some more, make sure that like button shines in your face. That'll totally help me out a ton. Also, share it with your family and friends and favorite it. That's a very good way to show support for this review. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell right next to you so you can be notified of future videos that I have in store for you. Also, if you want a shout out in a future video, just follow me on my Instagram page and I will choose one of my Cinedroids to be displayed as a shout out. The link's in the description below. Also, you guys don't have to do this if you don't want to. But if you guys are interested, there's a little join button down below the video, just right next to the subscribe button. If you click on it, not only will you join my YouTube membership program, but you'll also gain access to loyalty badges, custom-made emojis that I created for myself, and a special shout out from yours truly. So in this case, I want to give a special shout out to this fellow right here, who is a new member of the YouTube membership program. So if you want to join her, if that's something you're into, just click the little join button down below the video and become a member. It doesn't really cost you much. It's just about $2.99 a month to join. So make sure you click on that join button and become an OG Cinedroid in no time. Also, I set up a Patreon page for you guys to check out as well. There will be a link in the description so that way you can visit my page and gain access to up to 4 membership tiers. On my page, I post reviews a week early before you get to see them posted on this channel. I also plan to do nerdy pop culture themed fan polls, book audio reviews, and also my reactions to TV show episodes and movies on my page as well. So if that's your cup of tea, if you guys are interested, go to the link below, become a patron, and let's get to know each other a bit more. Also, if you want to subscribe to my gaming channel, there's either a link in the description or at the icon card at the top right corner of your screen. Go over there, subscribe, and let's just have fun together. Also, if you want to subscribe to my GS Productions After Dark channel, I'll put that link below in the description as well, so that way you can subscribe to that channel if you're feeling frisky. But until then, I'll see you next time. Peace out.